Hello, Facebook Live. Hello, Instagram. Streaming on both today, right now, live. And of course, the replay is on YouTube. It is Sunday morning. It is about 10:45, quarter to 11 on Sunday morning. Mark is here. Jamie's here too. Busy weekend here this weekend. Very busy weekend. We appreciate all the business. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate the business. Went out for my run already today with my friends. Got 6 miles in around town this morning early at 8 o'clock. So life is good. Feel energized for today. We open at 3 o'clock today. 3 o'clock is opening time today. Tonight's special is our $9.99 special is mussels and curry, green Thai curry and shrimp. $9.99 to go. That's happening tonight. But I really want to talk about something that's really important. That everybody should be, it looks like the writing's on the wall here. Looks like the writing is on the wall. Certain areas are going back into lockdown. Certain areas are closing businesses again across the country. A friend of mine in Washington just got word that the restaurants will be closing again, I think starting Tuesday in Washington State. Other people that I know are saying that the inevitable is happening. A lot of people are talking about how things are happening. Somebody actually told me that toilet paper is becoming more and more scarce again. Unfortunately, I don't know. I haven't been in the stores. I really don't know. I know latex gloves for us are impossible to get. I have literally a half a case left of latex gloves. The price went up from $30 to $120. It's quadrupled since this whole thing started, latex gloves. And even the cheap ones that were $30 are literally over $100 a case. The good stuff that was $55 a case is up to well over $120 now. The nitrile gloves are even more. But just a reminder that, make sure your freezers, things are stocked. I'm having problems getting one of our hormone-free, antibiotic-free chicken products here. It took us last week. It took us 5 days to get the product. It kept being on back order and back order and back order. So, unfortunately, there's a lot of things, or fortunately, there's a lot of things you can do to prepare for things like this. And hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's not the case at all, but it just seems like that's the direction it's going. That's what everybody's talking about, especially people that are coming to the restaurant. Just keep talking about, the inevitable's coming, and it looks like we're all going to get locked down again. Schools will be closed. Somebody just told me that Staten Island is closing schools. Folks, keep your immune system strong, and consult an alternative healthcare professional. Consult somebody who understands how to build your immune system. I know what personally works for me is vitamin C. Lots of vitamin C. Like I've already done 7-8 grams of vitamin C today already. I did it before I ran today. Vitamin C is such a great anti-inflammatory, and for runners, especially like me, I've been running. This is day 687 straight days in a row. I'm approaching 2 years on Christmas Eve. The day before Christmas Eve will be 2 years in a row. I've not missed a day of running, cycling, or hiking at least 3 miles, running at least a mile. Today was 6 miles, or cycling 6 or more. I've not missed a day, and I've not been sick once in those 680. That's 2 full years. I've been well enough every single day to go out and run, no matter what time of the year it is, whether it's pouring rain or 0 degrees out or 90 degrees out. I've been able to go out. I feel fine every single day to run, and vitamin C is part of my regime to keep my immune system. Vitamin C is such an amazing thing. But consult a healthcare professional. Consult somebody who understands how to build your immune system. Super, super important. Take every opportunity of sun you possibly can right now. The vitamin D, the natural vitamin D. You can buy vitamin D. I was listening to some great doctors, from Dr. Gundry to Dr. Mercola. I listen all across the board to a bunch of doctors and health advocates on this, and they all agree. Tons of vitamin C, tons of vitamin D, zinc, but just consult somebody before you take my word for that. There's a lot of stuff you can actually read on it out there. So start thinking about, make sure you have enough of things in your house. Make sure you have enough stuff in your freezer. Make sure you have enough things to eat and to do things like that. And already the first round of close downs has shut down 100,000 restaurants. There's only 630,000 restaurants in America. Well, I say only, but if you think about it, if 100, I just heard Tom Colicchio say this the other day, he was being interviewed, 100,000 restaurants have actually shut their doors in America out of 620, 30,000. That's one out of almost every 6 restaurants have collapsed because of shutdowns and because of COVID. If we shut down again, that number is really going to go. And that I don't even think that's a true number, that 100,000, because some restaurants are still hanging on and fighting and trying to do the best they can. And thank goodness they had a PPP loan, some government assistance to help them get through that first round. When some people just ran through that money like crazy. So who knows what's going to happen really if this goes into another shutdown, even for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. A lot of restaurants just don't adapt quickly enough. This is why a lot of chains have gone out of business. The key in business, I was listening to a podcast, was it last night or this morning? Another business podcast. The key to running a successful business is to be able to adapt extremely quickly. And of course, chains through this corporate structure have not been able to adapt quickly. Somebody like Jamie and I, when we saw they were hoarding toilet paper back in March, we immediately started saying, okay, stock up your freezers. We've got ground beef for you. We've got all these things for you. To stock up your freezers, and we quickly adapted. On our first week alone, we sold about 500 pounds of frozen seafood, and then plus all the steaks and all these kinds of things. And so we were able to see see the handwriting on the wall. Chris is saying on Instagram that entrepreneurs are problem solvers. Exactly, Chris. Exactly. We are problem solvers. So the key to any business is being able to adapt and adapt very quickly. The quicker you adapt, the better off, and trial and error basically kind of a thing, right? There's a lot of businesses that are actually booming during COVID. A lot of businesses have really skyrocketed, and a lot of businesses are totally the opposite, where they've been suffocated and they haven't moved on. And some of them just, there's obviously certain industries right now that are like, we have a friend who does similar to Vonage, but the Vonage of the voice over internet protocol for phones, but he does it for businesses, right? So if you're an attorney, a law firm, and you have 20 attorneys that can't work in the office anymore, he can basically set you up at all the attorneys at their house to work from home, and one name, phone number, cell phone. Attorney John presses 3 and it rings right to John's cell phone at his house or his house line, and it's a whole system that's for businesses. And of course, something like that is booming. Their business is booming. And there's certain, the Finger Lakes, Jamie and I keep talking about the Finger Lakes, because you couldn't travel to other states legally. Throughout a lot of this, a lot of people went to the Finger Lakes and discovered wine country in the Finger Lakes. And the hotels up there and the restaurants have never been busier before. People from New York City, who are just used to catching a flight to Napa or somewhere else, now are driving to the Finger Lakes. So certain industries, certain businesses are booming, and others are failing miserably. And a lot of these retailers are now going to online sales. They're closing their stores. A lot of stores in malls are closing. Their leases are up. We were in a couple stores up at an outlet mall 2 weeks ago, and the closing signs, basically closing. And so I asked the one lady, I said, they own like 5-6 brands. I said, when are you closing? They go, our lease is up at the end of the year and the store shuts. And it's happening across the board with a lot of our brands. Leases go up and we're just shutting stores down and doing online. So the real brunt of the first round of close downs has still not taken effect because a lot of businesses are waiting for their leases to expire. And then of course, right to online sales and save a lot of labor. There's a couple of business guys are taking advantage of that and buying businesses and turning them all online. So we really haven't experienced really the full effect of the first round of close downs. And, we can only hope that the second round, if it is going to happen, I don't mean to scare anybody. I'm not a person who scares people, but it just seems like a lot of people are anticipating this. Cuomo's already telling us here in New York, no more than 10 people at your house, and your neighbors can report you, and they're encouraging your neighbors to report you if you have more than 10 people at their house. I know a lot of people are saying, you know what, you don't pay my bills, Cuomo, and I'm going to do whatever, and I'm going to have 12 people or whatever at my house, and that's it. It's my family, and they're going to be here. So that's just what's happening here in New York. I'm not sure what's happening in other states for Thanksgiving, but I'm sure it's a logical thing after Thanksgiving that Cuomo can easily come back and say, okay, a lot of you didn't listen to me. I told you so. A lot of you did not listen to me for Thanksgiving, so now I have no choice but to shut everything down again. I'm sure that's the excuse that he's going to use, or the reasoning that he's going to use. Good morning, everybody who's tuning in. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Emily. Chris is on. Hi, Anna. Hi, Lynn. Yasmin. Good morning, everybody. Brenda, Kayla, Don, Robin, Catherine. So I'm streaming on Instagram, so a lot of you on Instagram, and a lot of you are on Facebook. So we're streaming on two platforms today, and just wanted to say, get prepared. Get prepared. Keep boosting your immune system. Keep washing your hands. If the mask that you're wearing, not if you're wearing a mask, you have to wear a mask, right? So the mask that you're wearing, make sure that you're sanitizing it. The masks are not that effective. Masks are not that effective. There's a lot of science that they're saying they're not that effective, especially when you're touching them constantly and you're not washing them. You should be sanitizing your masks with hydrogen peroxide, spray bottle, several times a day, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day, taking your mask off, spraying it down, drying it, and putting it back on. It does no good if you're going into a room, particles land on it, you touch it, and then a lot of masks, I know you can flip them around. I wear those masks that either way, like you don't know which side you're putting on your face or not. And now, not only are you're trapping what's inside the mask in your breathing pattern, and that's going to be just take the germs and just shove them there and keep them there. It's like sneezing in your arm, just holding your arm up there and keep breathing in what you've done. Hydrogen peroxide does wonders. Just spray your mask down to be truly effective, or be more effective in your mask. So, and of course, boost your immune system. All that kind of stuff, and have foods prepared, have canned goods ready, have foods in your freezer. It took, I know, a long time for freezers to become available. I don't know what the story is with the freezers right now. It took us, we didn't get we ordered an extra chest freezer, and it took us from May until the end of September to get our freezer in, a chest freezer. I'm not sure what the current situation is, and nobody had. And I had to order this online from our wholesaler, one of our wholesalers who does restaurant equipment. But I know Home Depot, I kept trying Home Depot, Best Buy, and all those, and it was not. But stock up what you can, canned goods, all those kinds of things, folks. So that's it for today for me. It is 11 o'clock, and everybody have an amazing, amazing weekend. We open at 3 o'clock today. You're not allowed to be in a restaurant that has a liquor license after 10 p.m. at night. That was a new narrative that came down from the governor the other day. He failed to communicate what he wanted with the liquor authority. He basically just did this. The liquor authority was very confused. Our legal counsel was very confused, calling the liquor authority, trying to get answers. Nobody knew anything at the liquor authority because Cuomo just did that and didn't consult with them. But it turns out that if you have a liquor license, you have an alcohol license in a restaurant, we can still do to-go food. We can do curbside delivery. You can't be in my building after 10. Curbside delivery, but no alcohol after 10 o'clock. So for us, that affects us on Friday nights because we have a lot of people from New York City that come up, and they don't get up here until 9:30 at night. And we had this happen the other day with a group that came up, a small group that came up that had a reservation for 7:30. They didn't show up till 8:30, and some of them didn't show up until 9 o'clock, getting out of New York City. And at 10 o'clock, I had to say, I'm sorry, I can't have you here anymore. Normally, a party like that would have stayed another half an hour, drank 8 more, enjoyed themselves, but unfortunately, we're not allowed to do that. And they're cracking down on that too, the liquor authority. So that's the situation with that. So it looks like tonight's special I did, yeah, right at the beginning of it. If you're just tuning in, good morning, everybody. Just drop a comment, #live if it's on live, whether if you're on Instagram or on YouTube. And tonight's special is shrimp and curry mussels, $9.99 with our organic brown rice, organic curry sauce, our good shrimp, and Prince Edward Island black mussels. So
we still have room for our wine dinner?
We have 2 seats left. 2 seats left for tomorrow's wine dinner. $25 4 wines, Thanksgiving theme. It's gonna be really cool wines for Thanksgiving. If anybody saw my Facebook Live last night, I was doing a little rant last night late. You know, Jamie and I worked our butts off yesterday. We've been working our butts off constantly. I have 2 people out in the kitchen right now, not because of COVID, but I have 2 people out, and we've been working very hard. And I had a customer who came in yesterday at 6:30 reservation. They sat down and ordered our calamari and our tuna and mussels. I forgot what else. Mushroom, salmon risotto. And by 8 o'clock, they were calling me from their house saying that one of them got profusely sick. But they were both on the phone talking, and one was profusely sick. And just so everybody knows, if you get sick at a restaurant, call the health department. Call your local health department. I'm encouraging the person last night that did this, call the local health department. Please call them, because something made you sick. They will then go investigate. The more phone calls that come in on people getting sick, they connect the dots. They will go into the restaurant and they will investigate. And the restaurant will not be getting people sick anymore. Please do that. It's a must. And I hope these people do that who came in last night and said, Molly decided to go online and write us a bad review.
But they didn't get sick from here.
So typically how foodborne illness works is for you to get sick within an hour of eating food, you have to consume rotten food. The food has to be rotten, and you know the food is rotten. I know the food is rotten. It's never the food you last ate. Never the food you last ate, but that's what we repeat on ourselves. That's what happens when reverse peristalsis happens. When you vomit, you know it's the last meal. You think it's the last meal. You get on the toilet. You think it's the last meal. It's never, ever the last meal. For you to ingest a pathogen, the pathogen has to go into your body. And you'll never get sick from one pathogen. That pathogen has to then multiply in your body to form a colony. When the colony can no longer be supported, and this is all documented on the health department website. The health department website and I've been over this with our health inspector many times, and he laughs with me about this. And unfortunately, it's not a laughing matter, because now we get a 1-star review for somebody who got sick not from us, most likely. And if they go report it and other people report that they got sick from me, then they'll connect the dots, and the health department will come in and make sure that maybe something I had something in it. I can't control the pathogens in food, in the processing plant, in the wild. I can't control that. I can't. I can control if the food is fresh and high quality and things like that. I can control that. But I can't control if the beef processing plant puts salmonella in it, or the spinach has salmonella. I can only do our job with sanitation, proper washing, things like that. So you ingest a pathogen, it goes into your body, it forms a colony. The colony gets to a point where it can't live anymore and support the population of the colony. So it goes through what's called the die-off stage. In the die-off stage, it dies off and produces more toxins, and this is where your body gets sick in the die-off stage. The die-off stage takes 24 to 72 hours. It's not something that happens within 2 hours of you consuming food. So when you think that the last meal you ate, it's not true. So when you call the health department, they're going to go with you the last 3 days that you ate food. They're not really concerned about your last meal. They're concerned with the 3 days that you ate, and the health department will go through this with you. So Molly, who wrote us a bad review, please call, and they'll explain to you what I explained. They called me last night at 7:50. That's a serious call when somebody calls and says, you got me sick tonight. So I stepped off my line of cooking to answer this phone call from Molly, and I explained, just like I did there, all this, and I said, I cannot control pathogens. I can't. I can only make sure things are cooked properly, refrigerated properly, stored properly, things like that, and not served fresh. I can't control the pathogens coming from the source. I can't control if food is fresh or rotten. Totally in my control. I can control if we leave food out and we can get people sick that way, but then it turns bad and it's rotten food. So if Molly would have listened to me and called the health department, they would tell her. Maybe she will on Monday call the health department and realize that it's an unjustified 1-star review on Yelp for my restaurant. And unfortunately, that is, people look at these reviews. Psychology marketing, if anybody knows marketing, psychology marketing is one of the 25 cognitive biases of buying. Is people will take into consideration what other people say about your product, service, or business, even if they don't know them, which is why a well-designed website And if Chris is still on, Chris and I have listened to speeches, been in person in speeches on psychology and marketing together. If 25 cognitive biases. The mind is easily tricked into taking shortcuts. So this is why a good designed website will have reviews on there that have real people's names on there. So other people say, oh, well, if John and Jim and Joan and George all had 5-star experiences, I'm going to have that 5-star experience at this place, right? But if they go onto Yelp and they see that somebody got sick from my restaurant, they're going to be like, oh boy, I don't want to get sick. The mind just makes quick split-second decisions based upon what other people are saying, even if they don't know them. Psychological biases, cognitive biases of buying. Good marketers will employ that in their marketing strategies. So, and if it's a deserved review, if it's a 1-star review because I did get somebody sick, then I deserve it. But an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, to become profusely ill and still be on the phone and talking to me, become profusely ill, it doesn't work like that. Your body can't get food in that quick and out that quick. Transit time. Your transit time in your system isn't that quick. All right. If it's rotten food, you're going to spit it out. But to pass through your system, go through in transit time is a whole different situation. So that's sort of that. So again, folks, if you get sick, please call the health department because they will go back and they will trace it and they will hopefully connect the dots and stop the restaurant or find the source, whether it came from the grocery store, a bag of spinach or something. They will connect the dots and make sure that food does not get anybody else sick. Super, super, super important. And then they'll let a restaurant like me off the hook for this last one. And I'm not saying I've never gotten anybody sick in the past. I don't really know if I've gotten people sick. And again, I can't control the pathogens in food. All right, folks, I'm hungry. Speaking of food, Jamie and I need to eat. Hope everybody has an amazing, amazing, amazing day. Again, stock your freezers, stock your dry shelves, stock up on toilet paper, all that kind of stuff. It looks like the inevitable is probably going to be coming to a shutdown at some point again.
We have frozen fish.
We have frozen fish. We have all kinds. You want to grab what we have? Frozen salmon, and I'll just do a little show. We have frozen sable fish, frozen salmon, frozen pizzas. These pizzas are amazing, folks. These frozen pizzas from Italy. And there's a gluten-free option. Jamie and I actually had the gluten-free option last night to taste it our first time, and it was like, I would actually probably prefer the gluten-free. So these are the pizzas. They're coming from Italy, from Naples. True Napolitan-style pizza, hand-stretched by a master pizzaiolo in Naples. The good cheese, the good sauce, the good flour. Chris is making a comment. Chris bought a few pizzas last week. Thanks, Chris, for that. Appreciate that. Sable fish, individually packaged. Black cod, aka black cod, sable fish, aka butterfish, cooks amazing. So, and again, places are starting to shut down. Word came in out of Washington State last night that the governor's shutting things down in Washington State. Restaurants won't be open for dine-in after Tuesday. This is going to be a devastating blow again. And again, we haven't really felt the first devastating blow of the economy. 100,000 restaurants have already closed here in the United States out of 600 and plus thousand restaurants, 650,000 restaurants. 100,000 have already closed. If you are in business, any business, adapting is crucial. This is the salmon, coho salmon, skin on, wild caught, line caught, not net caught, line caught, super important. All these things are line caught. Line caught albacore tuna, beautiful, frozen on the boat. This is what the person said they got sick from last night. One of the things they got sick from. This is frozen on the boat. It's caught, it's frozen on the boat within hours of catching it. I sear it, and then I serve it within 1, 2, 3 days, 4 days. Seafood can go 21 days, by the way, and seafood when it smells is bad. Scallops when they don't smell are bad. So this is super fresh. One of the things that these go through is a thing called Seafood Safe, which does systematic testing for mercury, metals, pathogens, things like that. So most of our seafood goes through something like that the suppliers actually do this voluntary testing. So the seafood we're getting is fantastic. And frozen is fresher than fresh, because by the time you catch something, ship it to a warehouse in Alaska, get it off the boat, get it to Seattle, ship it to New York, have it sit in a distributor, then in the distributor, send it to the restaurant, and then the restaurant gets it. You're talking 5, 6, 7 days, which is no problem. it's still considered fresh. 7-day-old fish is still considered fresh. All right, so I did an experiment years ago in Colorado because I was at a seminar in West Virginia when I worked at the Greenbrier. The Greenbrier had Steve Connolly Seafood come in and do a presentation for us apprentices there. And I remember David, the vice president of Steve Connolly Seafood, told us that fresh fish will last for 21 days. Most of you watching this are going to be totally shocked. Totally shocked. 21 days fish will last fresh for. And if you think about it, the Georges Bank, the boat goes out, it's out for 12 to 14 days. They start catching fish day 2. It lands back in Gloucester from the Georges Bank. The boat's been out 14 days, and they're unloading cod on there that was caught 10 days previous, 12 days previous. They're also unloading cod that was caught 2 days previous. Top of the trip versus bottom of the trip are two totally different cods. Same species, same catch area, different dates. The cheap stuff goes to the market. If you're going to buy seafood in a grocery store, you're buying seafood that's already 7 to 10 days old. No questions about it. Sitting there on the shelves, 7 to 10 days old, without a doubt. Most of you would be shocked to think the fish has been out of the water for a week and a half and you're eating it. You'd be shocked, but that's the reality. Restaurants buy the cheap stuff. I'm sorry, grocery stores buy the cheap stuff. Restaurants buy a lot of cheap stuff too. But grocery stores buy the cheap stuff because they know that most of us will run across town to save 50 cents on something. We're just built like that. That's just what happens. And we go in and save money. America spends the smallest percentage, I think like under 7% of our income we spend on food. Other countries spend 10%, 12%, 15%, 18%. There's certain countries where the economy is just such a scale of difference where they spend 40 cents on every dollar they bring in for food. But imagine living in a country where you spent 40 cents on every dollar you made on food. We spend less than 7 cents for every dollar we make on food. We are used to cheap, inexpensive food. We are used to the grocery stores doing that. We've given them the permission and the privilege to give us bad food because that's what we buy. We've given them that permission. The more you buy better food, the more you're getting, the more you're supporting the right choices. So I did this experiment in Colorado. We used to buy live tilapia from a small farm. I used to come in live. This was back in 1999. I did this experiment. The fish came in. The fish come in live. The truck comes in live. We clean the fish when it comes in. And every Friday we had a line at the door because they knew we had fresh tilapia and it still had a heartbeat at 6 o'clock. The fish would show up at 3. And I had one guy that just started cleaning hundreds of fish every week. It was really, really amazing. So I took the tilapia fillets. I put them on a drain tray, put plastic wrap on top, threw ice on it, and drained it and threw ice on it every single day. And I've told this story several times, so sorry if you're listening to the story again. So I took that tilapia, we marked it, dated it. 19 days later, we went back to that tilapia, we smelled it, and we cooked it, and we ate it 19 days later. So folks, fish will go 21 days. Bluefish won't. Bluefish will go 4, 5, 6 days, and it's done. Certain fish are different. But most seafood will go 21 days. So when you're buying seafood in the grocery store and you think you got a good deal on lemon sole or some kind of cod, it's already a week and a half old. There are tons of pathogens growing in a week and a half old fish. And something that's frozen within an hour, 2 hours of catching it, and you take it home and thaw it, there's 0 microbes when it's thawed. And freezing it kills pathogens. Most states, a lot of states, I don't know if most states, but a lot of states require sushi fish to be frozen ahead of time to make it safer. The Japanese buy frozen Alaskan king salmon in Japan to use for sushi. Frozen Alaskan line-caught king salmon is what they prefer. And most of the line-caught king salmon in the US out of Alaska that's being caught is frozen and shipped to Japan for sushi. It's not making it into the American market. That's what they use, all right? So if you have a negative connotation about frozen food, think again. It's totally safer, totally better quality, totally. All right, I gotta go. Jamie and I are hungry. We open at 3 o'clock today. If you want to sit outside at 3 o'clock, you can. There's heaters out there. There's a tent out there. Be our guest. Dress warm. Keep in mind, your food will get cold. If it's 50 degrees outside and you get food and it sits at your table for 4 or 5 minutes, your food will start to get cold. Wherever you go to whatever restaurant, probably don't complain about cold food sitting outside. If you're sitting out there with the food for more than 5 minutes, it's naturally going to happen, all right? That's what happens. It's one of the things that happens when you sit outside, you take food outside. So I feel like lately we have to do all these disclaimers because people sit outside. My food is cold. You've had your food for 5 minutes and it is 45 degrees out. Sorry, but it's 75 inside the building. It's a big difference. Food cools at a different rate. It's basic physics at this point. So don't drive the restaurant crazy because you want to sit outside and things like that. We've had people complain that their wine got too cold, this and that. So it's just one of those things. It's basic physics. It's going to happen. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all the support. AromaTimeBistro.com has our full grocery list. We do have toilet paper. If you need toilet paper, we do have toilet paper. I hear the store shelves are starting to run low on toilet paper for the inevitable of what's going to happen and going into lockdown and closing businesses again. Let's hope for the best in business and in health. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.